My name is Jazz and I'll be your teacher for today.
But before that, here are some learning outcomes. By the end of this lesson, students will be able to describe the role of carbohydrates in living organisms, define monosaccharides and explain their basic structure, identify and compare common monosaccharides like glucose, fructose, and galactose, explain the functions of monosaccharides in biological systems, and summarize key points about monosaccharide structure, classification, and importance.
So, let me start with a quick question. Have you ever heard of glucose or fructose? Where do you think they come from? Very good! Exactly! Glucose is what your body uses for energy, and fructose is commonly found in fruits. That's why it tastes sweet. So, these are examples of what we call monosaccharides or simple sugars. Today, we'll focus on monosaccharides, we'll define them, examine their structure, and understand their roles in the body. So let's start. Alright, first and foremost, let us define monosaccharides. So monosaccharides are the most basic form of carbohydrates, meaning they only have one sugar unit, and they usually follow the formula CnH2nOn. For example, glucose is a 6-carbon sugar, so its formula is C6H12O6. Familiar, right? You may have encountered that in your earlier science classes. So now, let's look at its structure. Monosaccharides have a carbon backbone, and they contain two important groups, our hydroxyl group and our carbonyl group. So depending on where the carbonyl group is located, we can classify them into two types. If it's at the end of the chain, it's called an aldose, wherein glucose is a good example. However, if the carbonyl is in the middle of the chain, it's a ketose, like fructose. So, quick check. If carbonyl is in the middle of the chain, or the middle of the structure, what do we call that? That's right, a ketose. So fructose is a ketose because of where the carbonyl is, and glucose on the other hand is an aldose. So remember, monosaccharides are single sugars with unique structures, and those structures affect how they behave and function in the body. So moving on, now that we already know how to define monosaccharides, let's talk about the classification examples of it. So monosaccharides are simple sugars, and some common ones you've probably heard of are glucose, fructose, and galactose. Glucose is a sugar found in your blood. It's like the main fuel your body runs on. Fructose, on the other hand, is a sweet sugar found in fruits, and galactose is found in milk. It's usually paired with glucose in order to form lactose. So, now even though these are all monosaccharides, they're not exactly the same. As mentioned earlier, we can classify them based on where the carbonyl group is. So, here's something even cooler. Glucose itself has two versions. We have alpha glucose and beta glucose. They're like twins with slightly different hairstyles. The only difference is the position of one OH group on the first carbon. So in alpha glucose, the OH points down, and in beta glucose, it points up. So this small change might seem tiny, but it affects how glucose molecules connect. For example, starch, which we can digest, is actually made from alpha glucose. But cellulose, it makes up plant cell walls and is tougher to break down, and it is made from beta glucose. So, you've noticed it. Even small changes in sugar structures can lead to big differences in how they work in the body. So now that we know what monosaccharides are and how they are classified, let's talk about why they matter. Monosaccharides are essential for life. Their main job? They are the body's primary energy source. So think of glucose like fuel for your cells. Just like how gas powers a car, glucose powers your body. When you eat, your body breaks down carbohydrates into glucose, and that glucose gets used in a process called cellular respiration to produce energy. But energy isn't their only role. Monosaccharides also act as building blocks. They can join together to form disaccharides, like sucrose, which is our table sugar, or even longer chains called polysaccharides, like starch, glycogen, and cellulose. So it's like using single Lego bricks. So these are our monosaccharides in order to build bigger structures or carbohydrates that your body stores or uses. But do you want to hear something cooler? Some monosaccharides actually help with biosynthesis and cell signaling. They become part of glycoproteins. Those are special molecules that sit on the surface of your cells and help cells recognize and communicate with each other. This is super important for your immune system and for building important tissues. To help you picture how it all fits together, let's watch a short video that shows real-life examples of what monosaccharides do in the body.
Monosaccharides. I'll show you what they actually are in less than a minute. Monosaccharides, often referred to as simple sugars, are essential molecules that serve as a basic unit of all carbohydrates. Their structure is both elegant and precise. Each contains carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen atoms, arranged in a very specific way. Among the most important monosaccharides in biology are glucose, fructose, and galactose. Glucose serves as a primary energy source for cells and is found naturally in a variety of different places, including fruits and vegetables. Fructose, which is known for its sweetness and for being present and abundant in fruits, is absorbed more slowly than glucose. And then finally, galactose is primarily found in dairy products, and it plays a crucial role in building cell membrane structures, particularly in neurons. These simple sugars can then combine to form more complex carbohydrates.
Alright, now that we've learned about the structure, classification, and biological roles of monosaccharides, let's put that knowledge into practice with a quick activity called Diagnose the Sugar. So here's how it works. I'm going to divide you into small groups, just 2 to 3 students each. So once you're in your group, you'll receive a short case scenario. You'll read it together and then answer a few simple questions based on what you've learned. So let's go over the case together first so you get the idea. A 24-year-old patient is experiencing frequent fatigue, increased thirst, and high fasting blood glucose levels. Blood tests confirm they have hyperglycemia, which just means too much sugar in the blood. Now, in your groups, you will discuss 3 quick questions. Number 1, which monosaccharide is being measured in this blood test? Number 2, why is this sugar important in medicine? And number 3, what might be going wrong inside your patient's cell? So take about 1 to 2 minutes to talk it over as a team. You don't need perfect answers. Just think critically and use what you already know. Whatever comes to mind, feel free to share it. After time's up, I'll ask 1 or 2 groups to share their thoughts with the class. So be ready. Alright class, time's up. I'm very impressed with all of your answers. You correctly identified glucose as the monosaccharide in the blood test, and that's spot on. I also liked how you mentioned that glucose is important in medicine because it's the main energy source, especially for the brain. And your insight about a possible issue with insulin or glucose uptake inside the cells shows that you're really thinking like scientists. Well done, everyone! Alright class, before we end, let's review the most important points from today's lesson. Monosaccharides are the simplest form of carbohydrates, also known as simple sugars. Examples include glucose, fructose, and galactose. They all contain 2 important functional groups, a carbonyl group and a hydroxyl group. Although they differ in structure and natural sources, they all serve as a quick energy source and as the building blocks of more complex carbohydrates like disaccharides and polysaccharides. Now let's check your understanding with a short 5-item quiz. Just write the letter of the correct answer on your paper. Ready? Let's begin. Alright guys, nice job. I'm very proud that you all had high scores for that short quiz. But before we wrap up, let's hear from a few of you. So, who can define a monosaccharide in one sentence? Yes? That's correct. It is the simplest type of carbohydrate made of just one sugar unit. That's why we call it monosaccharide. Very good. Next question. What's one structural feature found in all monosaccharides? Yes? Very good. They have a carbonyl group, which can either be an aldehyde or a ketone, and that plays a key role in classifying them. Yes? Yes, that's right as well. Hydroxyl groups are also present, and those make monosaccharides soluble in water. Very good. So next question. Is glucose an aldose or a ketose? Yes? That is correct. It is an aldose because the carbonyl group is at the end of the chain, forming an aldehyde. So last question. What's one biological function of a monosaccharide? Yes? Exactly. It provides the body with energy, and glucose in particular is the brain's primary fuel. So great work everyone. I am very proud of you all. But sadly, that wraps up our session for today. Make sure to review the differences between glucose, fructose, and galactose, and I am proud of your participation today. Keep it up everyone. This has been Teacher Jazz, and I'm glad to have you all here in Hive Learning Center.